Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
LeBron, you spoke highly of the Cavs at All-Star. What's your view of them now that you've seen them with Donovan Mitchell? Do you see them as a contender?
Well, I got in trouble last time for just giving an honest opinion. I got in trouble for that, which I don't care, so I'll give another opinion. Yeah, I mean, Jason's my friend, so where is Jason Lloyd here? He's not even here. He didn't make the trip, huh?
Jason did not make the trip, but he is in the UCSS studios this morning. Jason, LeBron coming on. You guys are now friends. Officially friends.
We ain't friends.
He made it Facebook official last night.
Hey, we ain't friends.
Y'all in a relationship? Let me feel.
Let's have it. Go on. Give me the.
I ain't never been invited to none of them cool parties.
Give me the tea.
No, we ain't.
Who was the guy? By the way, welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It's G. Bush. Bull is out a little ill today. Jay will be back, so they gave me less money to do this job. So it's okay. It's all right.
I'm gonna take your cut today.
He get half. He get another 3/4. We just working on per diem over here right now, man.
That's all we are.
Now, who was the guy? You heard his press conference that was it was his birthday. He said we're gonna take some shots later. Was that Miniman? He said it was his birthday on the road. He said, "Hey, oh no, we'll get some shots later."
Probably McMahon. I didn't hear that one.
Okay.
I didn't hear it.
I was going to ask if he's ever invited you for any shots or of any sort.
No, he did, joking around. We were in Boston and going to Atlanta the next day, and he jokingly said, "Let's go out to the clubs that night." But that did not happen. Like, we are not friends. We are not. I've never seen him outside the locker room, outside an arena, like. And he knows that stuff drives me crazy. When he called us his last year in Cleveland, he called me and Dave and Joe Varden his work wives. And that made me mad. Like, I wasn't there when he said it. I was talking to Kevin as a shooter.
Yeah.
And I went to the locker room before the game then. I'm like, I ain't your wife, man. If I'm your wife, I want a divorce. Don't ever call me your wife. That's so, like, disrespectful.
I need half that. Show me that half.
And he was cracking up. He had fun with it.
Man,
we ain't friends. But I didn't. I appreciate it.
We can get to them because that's sad out there. That is. I looked at that last night. I was like, during the post game show, I was like, this is awful. This is trash.
I was actually on my way. We was going out the way to celebrate my birthday early. So we was going through, back Amish town, and so I got my little phone. While my wife was driving. And me and my dad is sitting there, and he says, yeah, this ain't going to be good enough for the Lakers. Lakers got off to a really good start. Yeah. And they was up 17, Jason.
Yeah.
And my dad turned around and looked at me, and he's usually more knee-jerk reaction than I am.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, man, they got to do something with this, man. It's unacceptable. He turned around at halftime and said, they ain't nothing. They played the best they could play.
No.
They still only down by 4. And the Cavs poured it on them boys in the second half.
They came out, and Jason, they came out strong, trying to make a statement, but they don't have any staying power. I mean, they got all-stars looking like suckers. I mean, and they got, people like they came straight out the stands playing for the Lakers. I like, Lakers, Magic, Worthy, Cooper, Kareem, Rambis. I mean, Michael, that's what I'm used to seeing the Lakers.
This ain't Brad's Lakers.
Like, what is this? Who is these dudes? I was like, and look, Westbrook, he scored. I mean, he played decent off the bench.
Right.
He scored. The first thing he did was run to the crowd and be like, hey, y'all. Like, everything is with the crowd.
Somebody loves me.
I'm like, relax.
He was saying, it ain't my fault. It ain't had nothing to do with this. You see me, I'm clapping it up. Before we get into the Cavs, big-time win yesterday. Sunday matinee, I don't know how many times this has happened. They go out to L.A. and get a 114-100 win over the L.A. Lakers. LeBron has pretty much earned and owned them for pretty much since he left. I think they were 8-1, 7-1.
Yeah.
We'll break that down today. Cavs stay hot. We'll talk about that. We got Aditi coming up. We got Leroy coming up. Who else we got, Big Nuggets? We got another person coming up.
We got Reflog. Cleveland's
okay.
#1 internet troll and meme maker is going to share with us his 5 favorite celebrity tweets and encounters. And I hadn't I didn't know most of these. They're absolutely hysterical. It's going to be a fun segment later, about 12:40.
What happened? Your Bosch alarm didn't work today. You had to take the contacts out. Now you got on glasses.
I got glasses. I've worn them a couple times since
That's usually
last
when your
week.
eye, you got dry eye over there.
Them is
right?
the
Yeah.
Peabodys.
So like now, me and G, we wear glasses all the time.
Yeah,
we don't be faking
blind.
it.
Yeah,
Right?
listen, I had to bring my joint. I can't read what's on the bottom of that screen messing around with me.
Hey, last time I was at the eye doctor, they told me I'm right on the line for bifocals. I'm like, man, I'm too young for that.
Hey.
I'll just fight through.
here.
I'll just keep fighting.
Hey,
I'd rather not
hey,
see
hey.
than wear bifocals.
That's these.
You're older than me, man.
That's these, bro. I wear them proudly.
He told me you're right on that line. I said, well, I'm gonna stay on this side of the line. Then. I'll get you next time.
When you gotta bend down like these, that is.
You know what?
ooh.
I'm this guy in the restaurant. I'm this guy. Looking at the menu with my phone with the light on.
So is my dad, and my dad's like, Mike, I need a second flashlight. You give me a hand here. I'm like, yo, Dad, you're on your own here, man. Like, I love you. You're on your own.
Bring a Spectre Gadget magnifying glass.
So here's what I'm gonna do. Because I be throwing curveballs in the game. Reflaw gonna come tell us his celebrity stories. See, these dudes is kind of celebrity. They know a lot of people more famous than I do. So I'm gonna get y'all celebrity stories at some point during this day too. Okay. Because I know you to mess with people. We go down to the brass tacks of that, bro. But first, let's get off into this Cavs win, man. 114-100. Listen, when you watch this team and you see Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, and you see the way they're playing, but then you also get a chance and opportunity to see what they did against Detroit without Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. We'll start with you, Jason. What is your thought process on when you see this Cavs team and the way they are playing in two different scenarios, two different circumstances, but still getting it done in a really semi-dominant fashion?
Well, it's something that, Brad, I know you and I have talked about this. They can beat you in so many different ways. They're I don't know, flexible, versatile. That's a better word. They're versatile. Yeah. They can beat you defensively. They can go big and create mismatches against you. They can, obviously, when Donovan and Darius are out there, that's what I said last week, they're going to go where those guys take them. Like the ball's in their hands, they're going to drive this thing. Games when they're not out there, they can beat you defensively. They can beat you with size. Kevin obviously is good. He's like that old country song. He's not as good as he once was, but he's as once good as he ever was.
Yes,
that's Kevin. And so the depth of this team, I'm not really surprised. Like we talked about it before the season, and would they win 51 games? I said, yeah, I think they'd win 51 games. So they're gonna hit a cold stretch. It's going to happen. They're not gonna win, 71, 72 games this year, I don't think. Injuries are going to be a factor at some point. You kind of worry about with Darius. He's already had a lot of injuries throughout his career, so you worry about that a little bit, especially with all the money that he's making. But this is a team, we saw it yesterday with Donovan, couldn't really make a three. I think he was 1 of 7 on three. Yeah. Yep. So he starts attacking, get to the basket, get to the line. He's smart enough to know how to play when shots aren't falling in ways to make winning plays. So, and it's what we were talking about, Brad. I don't think you were in last week when we were talking about regular season versus postseason. And I said
it's a difference.
It is totally different.
It's a difference.
So enjoy this. Enjoy this ride from now till April because, this has been an organic build, an organic growth of this team. But nothing that happens between now and April will have anything to do with what happens in April, May, and June because it's just completely different.
And Jason, it's totally different. I mean, they're completely different, but it has some building block characteristics involved in it, right? So when I look at Donovan Mitchell, you know what I'm surprised at around here? People are like, I didn't know Donovan Mitchell. Well, you didn't stay up late and watch him out in Utah. Because what he's doing now is the same thing he was doing in Utah. He just got a better supporting cast with it. And this team, I would just have to give kudos. I always give kudos and homage to the guys I played with against that Cavaliers team in the late 80s. Harper Price, Nance Doherty, Hot Rod, Phil Hubbard, that Mike Sanders, Darnell Valentine. I'm going down the list of this, because they was emblazed in my brain, right? They are more reminiscent of that team than the new Hollywood kids out here. Yeah. Like when I see the Lake Show, it's just a bunch of dudes who probably on Twitter and doing everything else. I see our dudes, they fly under the radar. And the joy, did you see afterwards with JB and then when they gave him the chain? The joy of just being in the group. And I guarantee if I had to follow this team on the road, You might see them 4 or 5 of them out at the movie theater together, at the restaurant together. Whereas you see on some teams, and Jason knows this. Hell, I won't see a dude for a year. I mean, is he even in the hotel? Because you don't get along like this. This group is getting along. Now, you're right. They're going to run into some bumps. We're going to see how they respond after the bumps. But the one thing that has happened, Donovan Mitchell has done for them, he's given a lot of them bandwidth, right? Now, the pressure not on me. You saw going down the stretch when even the Lakers made the wholesale substitutes, like there was the white flag, and then the guys were coming back in the last and made a couple plays. Who did they put the ball in the hands of? Donovan Mitchell. He got the and one on him.
Close him out.
Yeah, but his mentality was like, enough of this. I'm gonna put this dagger in you. You done. Right?
And I thought at parts of the first part of the game, there was times where the Lakers, you knew the Lakers can come out with a little bit of energy.
Yeah, yeah.
LeBron was playing bully ball. AD was getting whatever he wanted under the basket. And then Russ came in with that energy, right? And so they gave him their best punch. But I thought it was really special that Donovan Mitchell kept him in that game.
They stay close.
Just stay close. And it was calming, like, come on, man. Y'all not about to get out. Relax. I got it.
It's twofold. LeBron is used to bullying the Cavaliers. Like LeBron walks on the floor when he sees the Cavaliers. Man, you ain't nothing without
3 losses in his career. 3 times
you're not nothing without me.
Right.
Yesterday was different.
Oh, it was.
They're like, oh, this is all you got. Because Donovan Mitchell, he's not buying it. He's like, oh, no. Remember me? I'm the dude in Utah. Remember me? You seen this act. I'm about to give it to you. And the rest of them, guess what? Them guys on the other team, the Laker teams that have been around, they saw that Donovan Mitchell act before, and they didn't have no parts of it. None of it did they have for him.
And JC gives that cachet. Like, it's like, when I see him play, it's like they could tell us, yeah, y'all ain't been here before. But now they really can't say much because you got Kevin Love, who comes off the bench with that. And then you got Donovan Mitchell. They like, hold on, you can't play us like the little brothers no more. We not a little pet project here.
Let me give you this, and Jason, I want your take on this. The biggest ingredient besides Donovan Mitchell is what Kevin Love is bringing to them, because he's totally bought into this.
100%.
I'm not the 2020 dude out of Minnesota anymore.
Yeah.
I'm this dude off the bench. You give me 20, 25 minutes, I'm gonna give you some work, but I'm gonna give you some leadership here. I'm gonna be in somebody's ear. I'm gonna do the dirty things here. He had he's taking 9 charges in 9 games. This is ridiculous. As a 6'10" power forward.
With back problems.
With back
the
problems.
History of back issues.
Hold on. And then he's leading the chant in the locker room after the game. I'm like, what are you, the frat boy?
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, let me rewind like 3 years. In your wildest dreams, Brad, Jason, and G, did you ever see Kevin Love blocking LeBron on a dunk attempt?
No.
Like, would that have ever even crossed your
He
mind?
challenged it. Here, let me tell you something. Be honest with you. I love Kevin Love. I like his transformation here.
Yeah.
Because 3 years ago, he was ready to get out the door.
Yeah.
And I was ready
2 years ago.
And I was ready for him to go.
Yeah, everybody was.
I was like, you want to leave?
Everybody was.
Tell me you want me to leave.
Yeah.
So we can get you out your misery. But then he made a transformation last year. He like, let me buy into this thing. And you know who I attribute it to? And I always tell this all. The apple is not far from the tree. J.B. Bickerstaff is a clone of his father, Bernie Bickerstaff. And I played for Bernie out in Seattle, right? For a short period of time, but I remember J.B. as the ball boy coming around to practice, right? Mm-hmm. The symbolism between what J.B. and Bernie do, I'm watching it. I'm like, oh my God, you're your father's child. The way he talks, the way he jumps in, the way he just empowers people. He transformed, because you talk about Kevin Love, you talk about Donovan Mitchell, his resurgence here since he's bought into this package. It reminds me of what happened to Dale Ellis coming from Dallas to Seattle. Dale Ellis went from a guy that was just getting moved around got to Seattle and became an NBA All-Star. Xavier McDaniel, Sean Kemp, Derek McKee, because their personalities allowed me to elicit things from others. And I see that happening here with JB.
JB's had a lot to do with Kevin. Kevin has a ton of respect for JB. He was thrilled when he got the job, when he was promoted. The Beeline thing was a disaster. We all know that. and
the Michigan man?
Yeah, Michigan man. And Kevin.
Disaster.
Kevin told me Kevin told me for years, though,
Leroy.
that all he wanted was to play competitive basketball.
Right.
And I said, like, you signed up for this. When you took that money, you knew it was going to be bad.
That bag was tough.
And it went worse. It went south on them faster than he thought it would, I think. And he would just say, I just want to play competitive basketball. I want to play meaningful. I don't want to end my career this way. And another thing that I think really triggered this transformation, he was so looking forward to the Team USA.
Yeah.
He had been talking about that for so long. The opportunity to play with Team USA.
Got hurt.
And then that was a disaster. And then Jerry Colangelo did him dirty and threw him under the bus and said a bunch of things he shouldn't have said.
Colangelo's a dirty dude anyway. So, I mean.
And so that, I think.
somebody to play for Phoenix.
That embarrassed Kevin, and it infuriated Kevin. And I think it helped trigger some of this career rejuvenation that we've seen out of him. Plus, they've got him in the right role now. 20, 25 minutes. That's perfect for him.
Spot.
With all of the injuries that he's had in his career, you're trying to limit that. You're trying to protect him. And they've really got him. His mind is rejuvenated. And I joked with him in the locker room the other night. I said, could you end your career here? And he's like, for sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I said, how wild is that from where this was a couple years ago to where it is now? And he said, like, yeah, nobody could have seen this coming.
Man, let me tell you.
But everyone's enjoying it, certainly.
Let me tell you something. So, yeah, your Colangelo stories, man, get out of here. I mean, old school.
And my Colangelo story. Don't put him on me.
Old school dudes who used to do people dirty. That's how they used to do people in the league, hang them out to dry. He's one of them, right? So don't get me started on these dudes, right? But I would just tell you this. If you hadn't been to a Cavs home game yet, it is a playoff atmosphere down there. I've heard that from numerous people who have attended. Like, this thing is hype. I was in Heinen's grocery store out there, and a lady was like, this thing is unbelievable down here. I'm like, oh, my God.
I was talking about this early, on the radio, and they posed a question to me, and they asked me, we know this is a Browns town, we always talk about who's racing to get the title, right? Mm-hmm. And it's always between the Guardians and the Cavs, even though the Cavs do have one. But there's a lot of people, I feel, Jason, that don't truly count the 16 championship. Not because they didn't earn it with Golden State, not because it wasn't sweet. It's because of that thing with LeBron. Some people have because it's almost like loving somebody and they don't love you as much as you love them. And I think when LeBron came back the second time, he won the championship and delivered. Yeah. But a lot of people feel like a championship with a brand new person without LeBron is the ultimate fulfilling goal.
That's insane. That's just it's stupid.
My boy right here.
That's stupid. That's stupid. That is illogical. This city hadn't had a championship since 1964. And they came back from a 3-1 deficit against a team that won 73 wins. Don't tell me that thing didn't matter. I know the 1.2 million number didn't really exist. Right. There was a ton of people.
There was a bunch of people.
There was hundreds of thousands of people.
It mattered.
Don't bring that crap now.
So that's a small percentage of people. But be clear here. Let's be clear here on this. The Cavaliers have been angling to revive itself after LeBron's departure.
Yes.
It has taken a series of moves, shrewd moves here over time that have looked like they have paid dividends here. I have to give them credit because they took a pathway that was not always pleasant because, you sitting there watching some of this and it's like, what is going on here, right? And so now to see it come full circle because the ability to jump into the end and get Donovan Mitchell and was just the icing on the cake to the others that they had done. We're in the midst of things. We don't know where it's going, but the one thing that, to your point about Cleveland people are true to Cleveland folks, right?
That's it.
We gonna ride or die with it. We may complain, but nobody else better complain. Do you know how much money I lost on the Browns in my playing days, just betting internal with the Bulls? Because I always would bet Jordan on these Browns playoff games. I remember exactly when Biner left that ball on the carpet because I had the money. Now, my money didn't run like his money, but I bet him this money, G. And so he's called me in the first half like, I told you what was going to happen. The Browns suck, right? And so then when the Browns were coming back and Biner's about to come in and punch it in, he leaves the ball on the carpet at the 1. This is about the mentality of Cleveland folks. As soon as he laid that ball on the carpet, do you know my phone rang in like the next 15 seconds?
You sick.
And he was like this. This is what he said. Bring my money to practice.
Getting back to the LeBron thing, for 20 years, for 2 decades, 20 years, the Cavs' plan revolved around maybe not that long, probably 10 years, 12 years. The plan revolved around LeBron.
Yeah.
It was, we have to be bad enough to be in position to draft him. So they traded like their top 4 leading scorers going into the year before he was draft eligible. They just like threw everybody overboard just to be bad enough,
And they
just
had
to get in position.
and they had to be bad enough in position to get him back.
Well, but that's the thing. So they had to be bad enough they had to trade all their top scorers just to be in position to try and get the chance to draft him. And it worked. And they got him. And as soon as they got him, it became, oh my God, we got to win. We got to win, we got to win, we got to win, we got to win. And then they lost him. And it was like, oh my God, we lost him. How do we get him back? We have to get him back. We have to get him back.
Well,
and that was the plan for I wrote an
4
entire
years.
book about it. The plan for 4 years was figure out a way to get LeBron back. And once they got him back, then it became, now we got to win a championship with him. 15 years, Brad, 15 years. The entire plan of the organization was LeBron.
Yeah.
That's it.
I get you.
And then when he left in 2018, time for a new plan.
Well, his
and to their credit, they pulled it off.
his roll back, Jason. Let's be clear. It wasn't that they did try to want to have him back, but his roll back was caused by external forces. One thing about you, if you haven't paid attention, LeBron likes to be liked.
Yes.
Yes, he does. He likes to be liked at home. Was where he likes to be liked. Not in Utah, Houston. He likes to be liked right here. Now the heat he was catching coming back here, he wouldn't even come down to downtown because he was catching some heat.
He was not coming back without Kyrie. The roster is what brought him back. Some of the pieces on the roster.
But you can see during that year, he was laying the breadcrumbs down that he was leaving there.
He came back here.
The Miami people were like, what happened? We're like, did you not see the breadcrumbs he was leaving?
2 years earlier, 2 years before he left, he came back and said, I'd love to play for this franchise again if they'd have me. And let me tell you something. That day on the upstairs practice court was the day the entire focus of the franchise changed like that. When he said that, they were like, okay, this can happen. When they drafted Kyrie and they saw what the talent Kyrie was, when he said, I'd love to play for this franchise again if they'd have me someday, the entire thought of the organization was, we got a shot at this, let's go.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying, for 15 years, the entire plan of the organization was LeBron. It was built around LeBron. Now it's not. And they did it faster than I thought they could.
He delivered on exactly what he said. And I said, I have no complaints with it. Now we've moved on here.
Here's the thing. When you go back to it, and I don't know how, maybe people are cognizant of it, or maybe people kind of glaze over it because he did win in what's dramatic fashion. But you tell me if I'm wrong, Jason. From what I heard from him in Akron was that he was finishing his career here. What I heard him say on that stage, he said, I'm going to do what's best for me, what's best for my city. He coming home. And the expectation level was he was coming home to finish his career.
That's the press conference he gave before that or after that, whenever.
It was after.
And he said, I'm tired. I can't go through that again. Like, I'm done. And he left again. And if people want to be upset about that, I totally understand. I get it. Because I asked him that during our just bonkers interview over All-Star Weekend here. I said, what changed? You said you were never leaving. So, and I knew, like, if you were around that team his last year in Cleveland, you knew he was gone.
You knew it was over. 18. He played his tail off. He played hard.
Gee, I had people in the organization telling me October of 16, so after the championship, 3 months after the championship, LeBron is leaving and going to L.A. to play with his friends.
Knew it.
They called it. They were planning for it for 2 years.
Yes.
That when this is over, when this contract's up, he's leaving. The entire organization knew he was gone. So, so I asked him, like, what changed? And he basically, like, he didn't really answer it. He said, just, you get new, different wants and needs. Here's what happened. Dan and LeBron needed each other to get where they wanted to go. Dan needed LeBron to win a championship, and LeBron needed Dan
to come home.
To spend. LeBron needed Dan to spend what was necessary to win that championship in Cleveland. He came back. They won the title. Both sides said, we're good, and they went their separate ways.
I also believe that he has a desire to come home. I don't think people understand the heat he was catching here at the airport, at the restaurants. I mean, he was persona non grata here. He was, right? And that heat, he doesn't like that because he likes to be liked. Everybody likes to be liked.
Yes.
Be clear.
LeBron does not play well when you talk about.
He's not a good villain.
He's not a good villain. But I've always thought about it. Just as many people that love him, there is a faction of this community that will always say the reason why this is more meaningful is because these dudes, we drafted them, they played here, they didn't leave, and if they get that championship, people will say that's why they tell you this team is the funnest team to watch. That's cold.
You know why it's fun? You know why it's fun? Because they've exceeded expectations. They haven't let you down. No. That's why it's fun. Well, wait till they get to the playoffs and lose, and then there's expectations that come with that.
This is still that. But I was just saying, and this time you got a slogan here. You better just know what it is: loyalty over royalty. They loyal. We loyal is all loyal, right? We're gonna ride with you to the end till you do something, till you thumb your nose up at us. Then it's a problem. Yeah. Right. So as long as you loyal to us, they love AC Carr here, Austin Carr here. They love Campy.
They love Kevin Love.
They love Greg Pruitt. They love Sandy Alomar because they're loyal. Mm-hmm. The day you're not loyal around here,
Albert Bill,
Lindor, all them. Well, and listen, you're gonna wear it like the Scarlet Letter around here. We're gonna never let you forget.
And we'll continue to talk about this because even if they're really good, the reality is, how many more years has Donovan Mitchell signed? 2?
3.
He's signed for 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody know he said he thought he was going to New York. Mm-hmm. Thought he was. He thought he was signed, sealed, and delivered to go to New York. Now, the Cavs are lucky enough to have pieces and parts around where, guess what? Even if he moves or does whatever, they still got young pieces. And I think for the first time, the Cavs are in a position of leverage.
Yeah, they have leverage.
They were never in a position to leverage with LeBron. LeBron hammered him. He made him spend the luxury tax. He made them get every single year. He made them.
Well, he kept signing one-year deals.
Yes, he made them go to the tilt. And you look at it now. I look at LeBron's press conference and the way he said that. I think he knows he missed his opportunity. He knew he was going to be 2-7, 2-8, 2-9. They weren't going to be no good this year. He had an opportunity.
To do what?
He had an opportunity to not sign that deal and set himself up for coming back to Cleveland.
Yeah, he could have, but he wasn't gonna do that.
I think at this point is
well, let me tell you something.
It's brutally in your face that he's no longer in it for the ring.
Let me tell you something. He's a smart guy. He's closer to the end than the beginning. It happens to everybody. Yep. It does, right? But I will tell you what. If it wasn't for the fact that he was chasing the scoring record here, and Jeannie Buss not gonna let him go anywhere. The only proper move for the Lakers to do right now, because this is not getting better in Los Angeles anytime soon. The only 2 assets you have that are movable are LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and that's the only thing that can get you picks, players. See, you don't even need players. You need picks now because you what do they call it when you mortgage the future? Mm-hmm. Now the bill has come due and payable. Yeah.
Well, I mentioned this right before we went on the show. If I'm Anthony Davis, I'm furious with where things stand. Anthony Davis is 29, going to be 30 years old this season. He's
looking like he's 37, but keep going.
But he's if you want to call this the back end of the prime of his career, he should be on the back end of the prime of his career. He's got 1 ring, and it came in the bubble. And that counts to me, but there's a lot of people that don't look at that bubble ring as an actual championship ring.
Because you didn't go up against the adversity.
And just the fact that, he got 2 touches the second half yesterday. Or in the fourth quarter. Yeah. I think he had 2 touches, 2 shots. And that, and then he didn't talk to the media afterwards. You're seeing the frustration mount with AD of, I didn't sign up for this. This is not what I thought I was coming to.
What do you see, AD for Kyrie?
Kyrie is damaged goods. No, his value is
they're
down.
Desperate in Los Angeles.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
They're desperate.
Kyrie is toxic.
They're desperate in Los Angeles.
Not that desperate. Kyrie is toxic. You can get him for less than AD is what I'm saying.
Really
he has very little value
really
right
quick
now.
Before we bring Leroy in here, obviously they've won games against the Celtics. They won games against the Lakers. They're going to get the Clippers. You're going to get a chance to see them against the Golden State Warriors. I think a lot of people want to see coming up on Wednesday how well do they stack up against the Milwaukee Bucks. Mm-hmm. Right now, so far, obviously they're undefeated, but do you see the Cavs? How do they stack up against the best in the East? They look very impressive right now.
I think Cavs are one of the 3 best teams in the East. It's Milwaukee, Cleveland, and Boston.
Yeah,
Pick whatever order you want. But the games this early in the season
I can't tell.
mean nothing
Right.
in terms of the long play,
We
in
have to
terms of April, May, June. Just enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is. Two good teams going at it.
We have to see what happens when some adversity hits.
Yes.
When you hit a couple losing streaks and how you respond to that. So, Mikey, run me a quick poll on this thing, right?
What you want, Brad?
Well, I want you to run a poll out here to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show fan base out here. Would you take LeBron James back here?
Oh, it'll be overwhelmingly no.
We're gonna put in the chat now. I'm gonna guess.
I get overwhelmingly no.
Just straight up, would you take LeBron James back?
Yeah, with this team here.
With this team here.
Because they're gonna,
Without giving anything,
because
just
here they're going to implode this thing in Los Angeles.
When Leroy
It
is
has
done,
to
we will
happen.
update you guys on the
has
results of
to
this
happen.
poll. But we do have Leroy. What's up, Leroy? How you doing today?
Leroy,
What's up? What's up?
what's good?
What's up, Michigan man?
Was it you know it? Hey, y'all got about it.
You got about 3 weeks, baby.
Hey, how about this? I defended Ohio State this week.
What?
They
What?
said, yeah.
Some
Yes, they
SEC,
said,
SEC people was getting to you.
They only scored 21 points against Northwestern. I'm like, dude, when you play in the Midwest, you can turn on your TV and it'll be sunny, not a cloud in the sky, but you can't see that wind on TV. that wind start blowing sideways, and you in a different kind of fight.
Right.
So
listen.
I tell her, I say, hey, just get sometimes look, and if you have ever been in sports, no matter how good your team is, you go into a game and that game starts and you go, let's just get out of here with the dub and keep it moving. And it's in every sport.
Yeah.
You might not be playing your best. Some circumstance might be going on during the game, and you're like, let's just get a win and get out of here. That's what Ohio State did.
That's what happened on Saturday.
That's it. And along with the knuckleheads that was sending me tweets and texts, Rutgers, and I'm looking at halftime. I thought the game was over. Right? Rutgers. And then I see the final score, and I'm like, stop it.
Michigan put on a blitzkrieg in the second half. They were like,
hey, man, that's, you know what? In the end, and I tell people this, and Brad, you can attest to this in basketball. The difference between a good team and an average team is not necessarily the talent, but it's the ability to sustain your best.
Exactly.
And so when you see like a team like Detroit's not terrible, but they can't sustain it for a whole game.
No.
So they always get out to these leads, and then the other team come back and get them. That's all that is. So when they're able to sustain it for longer periods of time, they'll win more football games. But it's like that in every sport.
Yeah. Lakers last
Like you
night.
always see these scores at halftime where the bad team, the team that's an underdog by 15 to 20 points is close or have a lead. And then what happened in the second half?
Let me get to
That's
that.
football. That's sports.
You mentioned that, Leroy, and I wanted to ask you about some of the games that happened on Sunday. Mm-hmm. You know, you see the Bills go down, right? You see,
Yeah.
And we've been told so many times that, the only thing that matters is the quarterback. You got a franchise quarterback, you good. This year, It seems like, look, man, if you could play solid middle-of-the-road ball, you can limit
In
your
every
turnovers.
stage, in every category. Right. Now, let's go back to what I said in the beginning of the year. What did I say in the beginning of the year when we found out Deshaun Watson wasn't going to play for 11 weeks? And I said it, and everybody laughed at me. It don't matter who the quarterback is with this team.
Yep.
Now look at me. I said it doesn't matter. You're going to win games by playing sound defense and running the football. Now, does Deshaun Watson add a bonus to that? Absolutely. But it all starts with that. That's the team that has been built. That's the way it will always be as long as you have one of the best running games in the league. When teams go wrong, when teams go awry. See, kudos to Tennessee. They don't give a damn what you think.
Right.
60% of the chance of running. That's what we gonna
Right. Right. And guess what? They always in the hunt at the end of the year.
Always. Always.
So what's so wrong about that? I don't care if Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback, Deshaun Watson, Josh Allen. When you look at those numbers, it all goes back to how did you perform up front?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, there's been 2 games that the Bills have lost, and they got straight punked. Okay? They got pushed around up front. Josh Allen got a little uncomfortable. He started tucking and running and not looking for Diggs and all these other guys. And you basically took them out of their game.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, man, football has never changed. You just get caught up in all the theatrics of the quarterback and the big yards and the big numbers and all these touchdowns. But when it gets down to it, and this company, hey, it's about that time. It's about that time. When you get a little dust on a little dust on the grass, right? You know that dust we talking about. When you get that lake effect snow when it snow for no damn reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
All them teams that come into Cleveland, when the wind blowing 30, you come out in the snow in that halftime for lake effect snow. All them pretty teams that throw the ball over the lot have problems up north.
Hey, Leroy, let me tell you this, because you're absolutely right? I was just thinking about it. I'm watching the Northwestern Ohio State game on Saturday. C.J. Stroud looked like a California quarterback.
Oh, boy.
He was cold.
Oh, boy.
Like, why are you so cold?
Oh, he was boy. He had his long johns
He
on.
couldn't get to the sideline quick enough with a coat on. I need my jacket on. I'm like, it's not even cold here, son.
Hey, yep. I got on Myles Garrett because last year he wore sleeves. I said, oh no.
It's not sleeve weather. It's not sleeve weather.
You don't wear sleeves? He said he took his sleeves off and he got drug tested 4 games in a row. So he started wearing sleeves. I said, I don't care. Like, you know when it's 5 degrees and I go ahead on and lotion up my arms and go out there and do about 15 push-ups, they're like, man, he ain't playing. It's cold out here. He out there naked. Yeah.
Man.
That's part of it.
Boy,
That's
listen,
part of it.
You get hit, and then you get hit. Like, people don't understand. You done probably broke all your fingers and your hands. You touch another grown man.
Look.
There you go.
Hey, what you think happened when you hold on to a football that is 5 degrees and you hold on for dear life? The football ain't gonna give.
Nah.
Hey,
Your fingers.
Hey, Leroy, Big Ten switch up when we get back to these Browns here real quick. What you think gonna happen when USC and UCLA had to come to the Midwest in the wintertime? Ooh, they gonna be a little chilly.
Hey.
In the big house, a little chilly.
Hey, that California pizza needs some heat. You can't come over here. You can't come to the Midwest. You better get you one of them gyros off of the trucks downtown. Keep you warm. Yeah. Hey, you know what? And guess what? As a football player, you took pride in that. I took pride in being able to play my game in every condition possible. If it was muddy, if we had a baseball field that we was playing through, if it was windy, I mean, come on. That's what you do. Look, how do the fans act when it's a little bit chilly or snowing? They act a fool in Cleveland.
They go to concession stand.
Yeah.
Leroy.
So we'll see. It's getting about that time.
Yeah.
Everybody talk about Buffalo, and look, they should be one of the favorites, but being a favorite and seeing a team do it are 2 different things. You see what I'm saying? And so, have we seen Buffalo fight through adversity during the course of a game yet? You see, I'm talking about one of them games like with the Jets, where you're not playing your best, but you find a way to win. You find some type of deal you can do during the game to just get through it. We talk about teams and say, you look at their resume, and it says we won 3 or 4 games 4 different types of way. That's your
Right.
contender,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
your contender. Like when you look at Buffalo, and I'll give you a perfect example, and they kind of experiencing this down here in Miami, is that when you look at Buffalo, if things get tough, are you confident they can pull it through? You're not, right?
I am.
You
Maybe I'm alone.
you still think no matter what,
I'm with you, Jason.
that you think no matter what, whatever the circumstances are, that they're gonna find a way to win.
Until they beat Mahomes, he got to slay the dragon. To me, Mahomes finds a way to win, but I haven't seen him win no big games. Like the big games,
I need you. You know what? Sometimes you need to see your team win a slugfest. Not scoring 40, but scoring 15, scoring 17 points, scoring 20 points, right?
In the trenches.
And you need to see your team win a lot of different ways. See, this game this week, and I've said this every week with the Browns for the last month. How are they going to win this game? You're going to win the game the way you always win. You're going to run the football. You're going to play action. You're going to get after them defensively. That's who they are.
That's it.
I didn't look, whether you want your team to beat us or not, that's who they are. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it. Right? Go ahead on and do it. Now, this week, I'm going to tell you what the best game plan would be. Y'all might not want to hear this. Don't rush. Bat the ball down. You got monsters on that front four. They are notorious for batting balls down.
So
If
don't have any faith
if you
in Tua.
rush the passer, huh?
You don't have any faith in Tua that he can be in the pocket.
No, I do.
Okay.
No, I do. He gets rid of the ball quicker than any quarterback in the NFL. So at some point you have to come to this conclusion. We're not going to get there like we normally do. What is going to be our
I got you.
adjustment?
I got you.
You see what I'm saying?
Why send the heat if you ain't gonna get there? I got you.
Right. Because all you're going to do is when you look, when guys blitz, we always say blitz in your lane. But them big horses on the other side got something to do with that. So you get pushed off a little bit and create a window, and I'm telling you, you ain't covering them. You ain't covering them in the secondary. Because guess what? Nobody is. They got 2 receivers for almost 2,000 yards midway through the season. So the numbers say you ain't going to stop that.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Think about that. You got a guy midway through the season with 1,100 yards receiving.
That's crazy.
And Tua ain't getting sacked.
Hold on.
You got one or two choices.
This year?
This is this year, and it's with 2 games without Tua.
This year.
And he played a game with Skylar Thompson, too.
1,100. Hold on.
Yes.
He has
Yes.
more yards. You ready for the stat, Leroy? And I will find it. He has more yards receiving than the entire Giants receiving core, Packers receiving core, and I think 9 other NFL teams. He has more receiving yards by himself. I'll find the stat.
Hey.
Leroy, go off. He's been insane
Who
this
you
year.
putting on him? Greedy
Don't
Williams?
listen.
Nobody.
I am not kidding you. You ain't stopping him. You not.
This is crazy.
I got the stat.
So-
Anthony's going to pull it up right now. Leroy, tell me this is not one of the most absurd stats we've seen this early in the season. And Anthony's going to pull it up. I'm going to read it to you guys right now. On this season, so in 2022, take tag board full here. Tyreek Hill has 1,104 receiving yards. That's more than all the Cowboys receivers, all the Steelers receivers, all the Falcons receivers, all the Texans receivers, all the Giants receivers, all the Bears receivers, all the Ravens receivers, and all the Titans receivers by himself. And Jaylen Waddle
And wait. Yes.
is
Jaylen
like
Waddle got
number
800,
7 in the
right?
league. Yeah, he's silly too.
See, this is my problem, Leroy. This is my problem with that. Is if I could see that, if I see that, you just named the team, the Tennessee Titans, and they hand the ball to Derrick Henry, how many times they hand it to him? 30. And I see Tyreek Hill, they just drop him back, throwing the ball up behind their back. And he got 1,100. But they going to continue to run what's best for them. I need to see some of that same energy when you can't stop this monster.
Here, you stop the monster the way you've stopped every other team. You control the line of scrimmage. You control the game by running the ball. And I'm not saying, you're not running the ball with garbage.
Right.
You got one of the best run games in the league. So I'm not asking you not to be successful to stay in the game. I'm asking you to exploit the other team by doing what you do best more. You see what I'm saying?
Leroy, did you see last night, they feared Derrick Henry get that ball yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes, they did fear him when he was, and then they would a wildcat a couple times on him, like, go ahead.
Yeah.
He like, I'm running this thing. I'm gonna run this thing right at you.
But here's the problem. See, here's what people don't realize. Derrick Henry is basically Gronk playing running back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He ain't no little dude.
No, he's not a little guy.
So if your adjustment to stopping Derrick Henry is bringing a safety in the box, right?
Good luck.
That ain't gonna get it done. And so that's why, listen, you can say what you want about Tennessee. You can say what you want about Ryan Tannehill or was it Malik Willis. You can say what you want about all their quarterbacks. They are 100% content knowing that win or lose, we're going to win or lose running the football and playing sound defense. And guess what? They held Kansas City during the course of a game to 17 points.
Yeah.
He threw for almost 500 yards. 17 points. So when I say let's run the ball and play sound defense against whoever you face, it's not that it's not successful.
Yeah.
We've seen teams do it. And you are a better running team than Tennessee.
Leroy, let me flip it on you. I'm gonna flip it back to the offensive side of the ball. So you know Deshaun's been back in the building. He comes back to practice within a week here. Be back on the field within a week. When do you think the calls are going to be? You know, you're going to hear these calls here. I'm sure are going to come here.
Oh, they coming.
To keep Jacoby in the lineup.
They coming.
And leave Deshaun on the sideline. You know that's coming here.
I'm gonna tell you. You ready?
That's. Go ahead.
Let me get close to the mic. Never.
Yeah, that's insane. That's even
I'll
crazier than the 2016 title don't mean anything.
Hey,
that's
wait
even
a minute.
crazier.
Hey, you just bought a brand new Lamborghini. You ain't gonna keep driving your pickup truck.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's snowing. I don't care if the weather bad. It could be hailing.
You know
you're driving that Lamborghini.
You know how the logic around here runs, Leroy. I heard it this weekend. I was like,
do you want to mess up the chemistry?
Yeah.
You
Here
better
we
stop
go.
it. You better stop it. Get out here with that noise.
Who said chemistry?
Hey, man, listen, I take these calls up here, Leroy.
It's starting, Leroy.
I've been taking
It's
calls
starting.
up here on this radio.
Hey.
They be throwing them flash words out to you, see if you accept them.
Hey, but here's the deal. Like, you not winning or losing with Jacoby Brissett.
That's the part
That's
they
what
don't
I
get.
keep emphasizing. Okay? Now, what Deshaun Watson will enable you to do is be more diverse with the run and the pass.
Mm-hmm.
But you would be a fool not to emphasize the run. And that's where I come in here week after week after week, and I keep emphasizing. Listen, regardless of who the quarterback is, be true to who you are.
Yeah.
The weather getting ready to change. It's getting ready to get, sometime when they tell you it's snowing, but it's actually sleet and it's kind of rain, and you don't want to be throwing it all over the place. Right?
Right.
This is running. Look, once November hit and you get around Thanksgiving and then you go into Christmas time and on to the new year, the teams that seem to run the ball are the teams that have success in this league. You don't have to be a dominant run team like, Tennessee is, you don't have to have it all on your running game. But if you can run the football, it allows you to do more when the seasons change. And that aspect of football has never changed. Aaron Rodgers won 1 Super Bowl. And the year he won, they ran the hell out of the football. Right? Yep. Tom Brady wins all those Super Bowls, and every year you have a running back that run for 100. And they say, ooh, he maybe should have got the MVP. But they give it to Tom Brady. Right? There's no secret. There's no secret in this. Look, there are exceptions to the rule. One being the greatest show on turf.
Yeah.
But guess what? They had Marshall Faulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I get this is a passing league now. They want to see scoring, which you haven't really gotten that much more of. But the fact of the matter is that with all this high-powered offense, the weather starts turning, and you got to be able to control the ball up front. You got to.
So then why aren't the running backs getting $200 million contracts?
Shelf life. You get one contract, and that's why guys hold out. Because think about it. You get drafted in the first round, you have to sign a 4 or 5 year deal. And when you get to that 5th year, ain't nobody going to give you no big money, so you got to fight like hell to get it sooner. That's just kind of how that is.
While we've been talking, Frank Reich was fired from the Colts.
Really?
Yeah, and 3-5-1, no quarterback. They're a team that's built a lot like the Browns, in my opinion. Sound running game.
And guess what? They haven't been running the ball well this year. And so now all that heat goes on the quarterback, and you got Matt Ryan as quarterback. Like, come on, what are you doing?
I wonder if that was Frank Reich's decision to go after Matt Ryan, and that's why he gets fired. Because I like Frank Reich. I think he's done a nice job in Indianapolis, given the fact that they really haven't had a quarterback since Andrew Luck just up and retired on him.
Right.
I don't know. That one kind of surprised me a little bit today.
It did for this reason, and here's what bothers me about teams and organizations. When you start making moves, you have to first identify what the problem is, right? And so when the last couple of years, they've been one of the elite running teams in the league with what they did with Jonathan Taylor, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And he hasn't had a very good year.
Been interesting.
So now, when you were counting on that to be kind of the onus of where your offense was going to start, now you're putting all that pressure on the old quarterback. So now you got to find other ways, because the ways that you thought you were going to be successful are not working. And now you're searching. But in all that searching, you look bad. And that's what happened to Frank Reich, that, hey, you could keep trying to run the ball, but it's not working. And you'd be more upset if you had a team that was kind of hanging their head on what they did last year and not making any adjustments. So he tried to make adjustments, but who is he making adjustments with?
Right.
And so, I feel bad for some of these coaches that are put in difficult situations, and these owners, look, they can be impatient. They don't have to. They got the money. They could be impatient. But at some point, you got to understand the reality of your situation and why you're in that situation. And if you can be honest about it and identify it, then you can correct it. But to say it's the coach,
Leroy, I'm gonna give your Michigan man some love. DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones, getting better here. Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Yes. Because guess what? You throw the ball down the field, he gonna go up and get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
He gonna give you a good shot at catching the ball. He has been.
He getting better. Now
he has been, because everybody thought Amari Cooper was gonna be, the guy. And look, he is look, man, I'm telling you, I love that dude. That dude can play some football. He is always open, right? Always.
Predetermined.
He had people on skates. So, you know, but what Donovan Peoples-Jones have done, what he has done is he's improved every year.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he wasn't getting no shine when you know, Jarvis Landry and OBJ were there, right? Was he there with I think that was his first year, right?
This is third year,
Yeah, third year in the league.
So was he there with he was there with Jarvis. Was
Yeah.
he there with
Yeah, he was there.
Odell Beckham?
Yeah.
So, you know, he was like that third guy
The third
to
guy,
come in. He
right.
never had a chance. He never really had a chance to, you know, be on the field and learn his way around the field, learn how to work his, you know, work the routes and stuff like that. And now, you know, they like, hey, man, you got to go. And he's responded.
He's doing good. Now, I'm going to need you, before we let you go here, I'm going to need you to give some love here. I know you was in the Miami thing yesterday. Give my boy Justin Fields some love here.
I played Brad yesterday in fantasy, and that dude, but he almost tried to kill me. Justin Fields, 178 yards rushing.
Right. Here's what I would say about that. That the Dolphins have played against 3 of the league's best dual threat guys. They played against Justin Fields, they played against Lamar Jackson, and they played against Josh Allen, who, you know, he'll put it down and run too. And they've won all 3. And that when a quarterback runs for that many yards, that's usually not the case. So look, I don't know, look, you know, everybody says, you know, oh man, I can't believe they gave up 32 points to the Bears. Or when people say it about Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. But the fact of the matter is, man, that is a unique situation that you can put a spy. It's funny, man. I think the worst position in football, you heard it here first. The worst position in football is spy. You know why? You assuming that your spy is a better athlete than that stud behind the line of scrimmage. So if nobody can one-on-one tackle him, why waste the defender to one-on-one tackle the quarterback? Blitz him. Because if you put him in space, he ain't stopping none of them dudes.
So, Leroy, we appreciate you coming on today. We're going to check back in with you. Hopefully we get a win against the Browns. Y'all look like a track team out there for the Dolphins, man. So we'll catch up back up with you.
I know, man. I do Miami radio. I'm hurting all week, dog. I don't know what to do. I know.
You know what to do.
I'm hurting. This is. Hey, I ain't never been this stressed when I played. Right?
Dilemma.
Never.
Dilemma. Leroy, appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon.
Right,
we'll
man.
catch up with you later.
All right, Leroy.
Later.
McNuggets, I tell you what, man. He's right. I did not know they had that many yards. That's ridiculous.
Well, good news. Wyatt Teller and Denzel Ward back on the practice field today. That's a sign that Denzel is out of concussion protocol.
All right.
Not sure if he'll play. You would tend to think it's trending that. Oh, there you go. You already got it. Look at you.
We got you. Don't worry.
So as Zach says, no injury report really until Wednesday. No clarity
Well, we'll see.
until Friday, but certainly a good sign that Denzel is
Well, here, I'm going to tell you this.
gearing toward getting ready to go.
on the men's.
Here, on the men's. No need to be rushing nobody back here because.
Yeah, there is. Tyreek Hill Jaylen.
No. Here. Hold on here. He just showed you that nobody been checking Tyreek Hill, right? So here's the deal. I'd rather see Denzel Ward be fully healthy to make a sustained comeback here, right? We just need to play tight here. Now, I would tell you this. Justin Fields took Miami to the limit yesterday.
Yes.
Limit.
Yep.
So hopefully the Browns are devising a game plan to keep us in the game plan. Keep us in the game because Tua can go either way on you sometimes. But you can't be letting no guy like Mostert get out on you, Waddle them get out on you. Something got to get cut off here.
And we, Jason, we talked about, how good they are on offense. So, mind you, they beat the Bills, right? But, you know, if there was any time that you would run the rock, you think you should be able to get some stuff off on them. But they did go get Bradley Chubb. Am I correct? Yeah, Bradley Chubb.
Chubb had nothing for Justin Fields.
Hey.
He was left in the dust.
But we do not have a mobile quarterback like them. But they've given up some rushes on the ground. For me, I look at this game and I have to ask myself, realistically, in the next 3 games, how many of these games do they realistically have to win? Not just for the mathematical, in your heart of hearts, that they got to win out of these next 3 to be even viable when Deshaun Watson gets back.
Two.
Deshaun's not running the table when he comes back.
No.
Do we agree with that?
I agree with that.
They ain't going 6-0.
They're not going 6-0. I think they might lose 2 games.
I wouldn't shock me at all.
I got 2 stats for you guys real quick before we bring Aditi on. Justin Fields did rush for 178 yards.
Sure
Crazy.
did.
David Montgomery, 14 carries, 36 yards for a 2.5 average. Yeah. Khalil Herbert, 7 carries, 23 yards for a 3.3 average. Miami's run defense against running backs has been relatively solid. Against mobile quarterbacks, not so much. We also want to remind you guys, you could be a member of the Big Cleveland Sports Show now. We're doing some special stuff, some overtime content. We got into the whole Kyrie discussion last Friday, which was, we wanted to do it on the show, but we thought it was too long to dive into with the guests we had coming on, and the only way you can check it out is by becoming a member. $199 is starters tier, $4.99 is coaches tier. You get some cool perks, and if you want to support us, we would duly appreciate it. And as always, we support our good friend Aditi, who was in Jacksonville this weekend, who is now joining us. Aditi, that picture on the sideline, Trevor Lawrence is really tall. Really tall.
Yeah, he's slightly tall.
You do know, though, that is my superpower, is that I make everybody look tall. I do. Denzel next to me on the day after he was drafted, Browns fans were saying, oh, he's not as small as we thought. But actually, really, it went.
Well, Didi, you have the ability to make someone look taller and extremely bigger. As far as horizontally goes, I don't know
about Tua. Did you guys see me next to Tua last week? I don't know if I really helped his stature that much.
Well, we will find it. Hold on, but Steve, let's say tag word real quick for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about. This is Aditi, and this is the 8'17" quarterback Trevor Lawrence.
You know what's so funny about that is that Trevor is actually in the background and Travis Etienne is in the foreground. Travis isn't that big. Travis looks a lot bigger simply because he's in the foreground of the photo. So Trevor is even bigger than he appears in that photo.
And I need to ask you a question. Coming from a person who has great hair like yourself, where would Trevor Lawrence's hair rank on the big board of hair? Is it as good as he thinks?
I mean, it's sunshine. Yes, there's definitely not a lot of product in it. It's not greasy. Who is that baseball player? Who is that Phillies player whose hair was so gross? Help me out.
Brandon Marsh, right?
Yeah, you're just that grease. But what's making me laugh, G, is that I was the sideline reporter for the Jags Week 4 game, which was in Philadelphia, which was in an absolute monsoon. The rain didn't stop the whole time. And what was so crazy about it is my hair was back in a ponytail, but the rain was actually dripping from my ponytail down my back because it was that much rain. And then the next week, Week 5, I was the sideline reporter for Jags Texans. And when we started our meeting, Trevor and I were talking about the rain, and I was like, well, was it dripping down the back of your hair? And everybody started laughing and said that was definitely the first time that somebody's hair was mentioned inside a production meeting.
That's a rough one.
He has lovely hair, and he clearly has not put a lot of nasty product or heat, or it feels like it is good, healthy, not over-processed hair. I can say that. Not that I've touched it, but I'm just saying. That's
you don't ask the next question. How you know?
Yeah, there's a stepladder to actually really tell you. But anyway.
Aditi, you've seen the Dolphins this year. They seem to have been not all in on Tua up to this point. Are they all in on him now? Is he the quarterback here going forward?
You know what? This seemed to be maybe prior to this year, but there is no question that Mike McDaniel is all in on him and believes in him and sees so much of what he can unlock in him. And I would encourage you to go and find the interview I did with him after the game against the Lions last week. So, of course, Tua comes back. He plays against the Steelers on Sunday night. He admits that he's rusty in that game. He plays a great, great, great game on the road in Detroit. They're down in the first half, and in the second half, I mean, just picking apart that defense, knowing exactly where to go, what play to get in and out of, when to hit Hill, when to hit Waddle. We've heard Tyreek Hill say over and over again that he is the most accurate quarterback he's ever been around. And I think that this is a statement, too, on the coaching, and not just the coaching, but having somebody believe in you. And you can really see the way that Tua is blossoming under a coaching staff that wants him, thinks he's special, and knows how to take advantage of every piece of him that is indeed special. And I just, I like what that team can do. I really like the way that they're playing for Mike McDaniel and they take to him. He is, Jason, do you know him? Have any of you spent any time around him?
No, I briefly at the combine and the owners' meetings, but nothing of significance.
Okay, so admittedly, he's not necessarily out of central casting, right? Like, he's not Kevin O'Connell. He's a little bit goofy, a little bit of an odd duck. He, again, I'll take you behind the scenes in our production meeting. He's talking about the way he tries to keep guys on their toes, and then he throws out to us, what instrument would you play in an 80s rock band that would then make you vulnerable to the way that music shifted in the 90s?
Saxophone, baby. Saxophone.
Right.
Instrument.
He's a Yale guy. His brain is always worrying. He totally leans into being a little bit goofy, unusual. Again, not like your prototypical head football coach. And the guys love it. I mean, they're really, really, really taking to it. And I think this is a team that is continuously getting better. And that's what you want to see. Again, every coach in every sport will tell you that. You don't want to be playing your best football in September. You want to get better as the weeks go. And I think that that's what we're going to see out of the Dolphins.
Didi, I'm confused. I did not know that Tyreek Hill had like all these yards. I knew he was playing well this year, and I knew that he was a mismatch nightmare. But then he pulled this man's stats up. He has 1,100 yards and 76 receptions right now. My question is, can you give us some insight? And I know, you may not know this, but if I have a player like this on my team, and I got Patrick Mahomes on my team, and I got Kelsey on my team, I know that those two are pretty much unstoppable. What do you think led to them giving up on Tyreek Hill in Kansas City?
I don't know if that's giving up. I hate to speculate because I really don't know. I mean, I think that there could be so many reasons. He could have wanted out. He could have felt like he wanted to try something different. He might have wanted to be in Florida. There could be so many other things there. And I think the big deal here, too, and you could say this about Kelsey as well. Tyreek Hill played when Kelsey demanded attention. Right now, Tyreek Hill is playing as Jaylen Waddle demands a lot of attention, too. And there's something to be said for taking advantage of every opportunity and having a team around you that you feel can do a lot as well. It's not just on your shoulders. I don't know. I really don't know, G. I don't know enough about the situation in Kansas City to speak strongly about it. But I think that things can be great and run their course as well. We've all been there, right? We've all had jobs that were great for a period of time, and then it was time to try something new.
Didi, do you think are the Dolphins concerned about the Browns and what they present this weekend?
I think you're stupid if you're not, right? The Browns certainly played a great game on Monday. The Browns played a game on Monday night that played to the way they're supposed to be built, right? Get a lead and then run the ball. Control the clock, run the ball, secure the win. And you had Myles Garrett wreaking havoc. As we talked about last week, it was he needs to wreak havoc, and he did wreak havoc. And I think that when this defense is going and when this run game can get going, well, then that makes all the difference right there. And so, every team has the same. We were talking about this with Josh McDaniels, about Josh Jacobs, who has been running so well of late. didn't necessarily yesterday for whatever reason, but early in the season wasn't nearly as productive. And Josh McDaniels said that has nothing to do with Josh Jacobs, but that has everything to do with where we were in a game. And when you're getting down, you just can't run as much. You just can't have that balance. And it's all part of it, working together, fitting together. And when the Browns can indeed get a lead and run the ball the way they want to run the ball, well, they're a pretty tough team to stop. I mean, they are very, very physical, and that presents a challenge for anybody.
Didi, they're 3-5 coming into this game. There are 9 teams in the AFC with a better record than the Browns right now. They've got a ton of AFC losses already. What's the path to the postseason? I know it's a little early for this, but it feels like it's not, because they're 3-5. There's 9 teams ahead of them, and they don't hold many tiebreakers. So
yeah, but like how much? Again, but how much ahead of them? In the AFC, there is no like, oh my gosh, the class of the AFC. Had you asked me before yesterday, it would be like, okay, there are the Bills and there are the Chiefs, and then there's a bunch of teams with 2, 3, or 4 wins that all seem basically the same. And then what happened yesterday? The Jets beat the Bills, and the Chiefs, I mean, it takes everything plus overtime to knock out the Titans, who don't even have a number 2 wide receiver. Forget not having a number 1 wide receiver. They don't even have a 2 wide receiver. They maybe have a 2.5 wide receiver. I mean, and the Titans play in a way that everybody knows exactly what they're doing. There's no trickeration there. It's stop Derrick Henry, and they still can't do it. So I think that right now, it's just kind of focus on your part, and we have no idea how any of this is going to shake out. I still do believe that the Bills and the Chiefs are the class of the AFC.
I'm with you. Yep.
But I think both are beatable. I think that there is nobody that you're looking at and saying, holy cow, that team is invincible. No one's going to catch them. And again, I keep saying this to you, it's just about getting in the dance. It's not really about catching the Bills or the Chiefs right now. It's that whole middle section, that whole middle class. Who in that middle class is distinguishing themselves? Well, right now is that moment. So, and I'll give you another one. This is, it's funny, this Frank Reich news just came out, and I'm upset about it. And I was looking over some of my notes, from because 3 weeks ago I did the Colts Titans game and just enjoyed Frank Reich so much. Matt Ryan at the time was the starting quarterback, what Matt Ryan had to say about Frank. Anyway, so as I was going through my notes, I'm thinking about a lot of things that coaches have said over the course of this season to me in those production meetings that really kind of stick or sort of truisms. And one of the things that Doug Peterson, the Jaguars head coach, and I said this in our broadcast, told his team on Wednesday, it was a lesson of Nehemiah from the Bible. And basically the lesson he said is that Nehemiah wanted to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. And so what he did is he told every family, you build your section of the wall. Just build your section. Don't worry about the section to the right of you. Don't worry about the section to the left of you. Don't worry about the section across from you. Just build your section of the wall. And in 52 days, the walls were rebuilt around Jerusalem because every family focused just on their wall. And so Doug Peterson used that as an analogy, parable, whatever, I don't know what the right phrase is, for his team. And it was that same idea. Just do your job. Just do your job. Don't worry about what the weak side linebacker is doing. Don't worry about what the strong side linebacker is doing. Just do your job as the middle linebacker, and this wall will get built. It's the same thing I would say to any team in the AFC. Do your job, win your games, play your football, and you're likely going to be where you need to be because nobody is running away with anything. And quite frankly, you can't get 3 wins in one day. You can only get 1 win a day anyway.
In the spirit of Adam Nabul, I'm going to ask you a question that has nothing to do with sports. I'm have to do this. When you're on the road, what are 3 essentials that you need when you're on the road covering the NFL?
For work or for personal rest or?
3 essentials. You got to have them. You don't feel right without them. Maybe it's just something you got to have. Maybe it's for personal.
But like we're saying, like the regular stuff, like a toothbrush and my contact lens solution, that stuff doesn't count, right?
That don't count.
I need my notebook. I need my trusty notebook. Okay. I need a pen I like.
Good quality pen? Like
Yeah, and it doesn't. They don't all have to be exactly the same. There's certain pens I like, but there's certain pens I don't like. I don't like pens I got to press too hard with. I don't like pens that hurt my hand. I just need a pen that I feel comfortable writing with.
That's true.
Yeah. What do I need? What do I know?
Go-to meal. Go-to meal.
That one's so hard, guys. You want to know why?
Why?
Yeah, it's really hard because we do a lot of crew meals at CBS, which I love. I love that we're together and we eat together and we spend time together. But I'm a vegetarian. And so we don't always get a meal that would be one of my optimum choices.
So she's going to
ruin
it.
Cleveland, though. I will say this. Week 2, we were in Cleveland. I got to choose the Friday night meal.
Okay.
Shout out. We went to Town Hall, and it was fantastic. And everybody on the crew agreed it was a great time. We got to sit outside at a big round table under an umbrella. That was good. So I don't know about go-to meal. I got to think of a third thing that I really need. I guess my phone, so I can phone home.
Well, there
like
it is.
ET. Phone home.
We got you out at 12:15. You're good to go. I did not go over too much, McNuggets. So there you go. Didi, thank you for
No.
much.
I still have 2 more minutes. Does anybody have anything else for me? Everybody
All right,
feel good?
real quick.
Smart?
You mentioned the Frank Reich thing. That really surprised me. Do you think was he like pounding the table for Matt Ryan? Is that I'm just throwing that out. I don't know because this one
I
sort
don't
of
think
caught
that
me
that's
off guard.
why So the move was a shock, obviously, because we had been with them the week before, and the way that Frank Reich talked about Matt Ryan's leadership ability and how different it was, and the way, he told this great story that he often asked players to get up in meetings and kind of talk about a variety of things. And he said Matt Ryan was very new to the team. And he comes in the spring, and Frank says, we have values here, but we want to hear from you. What are the things that really matter to you? Kind of like G's asking me, what are things that matter? What are the things that matter to you? And he said he was blown away by the way Matt Ryan stood up, got in front of that room, and the things that he talked about and how they resonated with players. And Frank said that he's never seen a player with the leadership qualities that Matt has. And he said it's, part of it, and it wasn't even about his age or his accomplishment. It was simply just his presence and the way that he drew people to him. When I talked to Reggie Wayne was talking about the ways that Matt Ryan reminds him of Peyton Manning, and now he's another Peyton. So put all of that together. Watch him on the sideline during the game. I watch him on the sideline, and he's rallying his team as he's keeping guys into it. And then to see after that game, after that loss to the Titans, that they were making this change, I knew that that wasn't about the coaching staff. I knew that that had nothing to do with the coaching staff calling for that. I don't think that Frank is the type of guy that would sit here and say, well, I'd rather not have my job than work with Sam Ehlinger. This is a professional. I don't know. I don't know if the patience is there. I don't know if, you've got an owner who's very involved for good and for bad. And it's sad. It's sad. I think that he's a really good coach. I think he's a good leader. I think he's a really good man. I'm struck by something I was telling you. I was just looking at my notes. Matt Ryan said that in all his years of playing football, he's never been around a coach, and I should find it exactly. He said it's the amount of respect that everybody has for him. And he said that he's never been around a team where players didn't want to disappoint their head coach as much as they didn't want to disappoint Frank. And he said it had nothing to do with being yelled at or his demeanor. It was just that they didn't want to let him down, that they saw everything that he poured into them. They saw the way he had their back. And so the Colts players in turn, it's almost like you don't want to disappoint your parents. They didn't want to disappoint him. And when players play for a coach, it's what I would say for Mike Vrabel. I don't know that there's anyone. I don't know that there's any coach that gets his players to play for him harder, but it's very similar that these players certainly wanted to play for Frank. But again, there's only so much a coach can do. Roster construction has a lot to do with it, the quality of the talent that you have, all of that.
True.
It is funny. It's funny who has patience and who doesn't. And we sort of knew that Frank Reich was on the hot seat. We sort of knew that Matt Rule was on the hot seat. We saw that the Panthers fired 2 assistant coaches yesterday. We saw that the Lions a week ago fired an assistant coach. And, I'm sitting here in Pittsburgh, and they're not doing anything with their offensive coordinator who, hasn't produced anything, no matter who the quarterback is, and who hasn't inspired sort of the same fervor from his players, but he's got a head coach who believes in him. And so different ways to skin a cat, I guess.
Yeah.
Didi, thank you so much for your insight on this. Good luck this weekend as always. And
Thank you.
Make sure you pack your toothbrush too.
Yeah. Always.
Gotta have
Fresh
that.
breath.
Thanks,
Didi,
Didi.
appreciate you, man. Well, McNuggets, I will say, you have something different coming up. You've got a new game.
Well, real quick I just want to say, when she's talking about Frank Reich and the way guys didn't want to let him down, I kind of get that feeling of JB and the Cavs.
Yeah.
He has that connection.
You saw that last night. You saw that last
with
night.
this Cavs team.
Yeah.
You did with the chain and Kevin presenting him with the chain. It's rare. It's so Brad can speak to this better than anybody. Most of the time, no player trusts any organization. Like you don't trust the organization, and you look out for yourself, and you have to worry about yourself. And that doesn't mean you don't respect the coach or buy in for the coach. Yeah. But to have that deep level of I can't let the coach down, that doesn't happen very often in pro sports.
And he kind of got the Tito thing going on. Like
he's got a lot to prove in the postseason.
Right.
Like I don't want to get this thing too far down the road. He's got to prove he can win big series in the playoffs.
There's incremental growth here. Oh, you know what I want to see tonight? Because he got the chain. Part of the chain, the Junkyard Dog chain trail is this. You know, he's got to wear that tonight going into the arena. That means he's got to get on the bus tonight with this big chain on.
And they'll love it.
And then walk back into Staples, a la cryptoscom.com center, whatever it is now, but in that big chain in the locker. I'm going to see if somebody's going to put that on video.
They will.
Take that.
They'll get
I want to see that.
Junkyard, I like the fact that he did something yesterday I think he was doing. Mobley was not playing that well in the first quarter, and he kind of pulled him off the baseline a little bit. They were going for somebody's at the free throw line. He pulled him off the baseline, told him come over here, and you can see him giving them that work. Like, hey, look, man, we ain't out here to take no picture. This is LeBron and AD, but we ain't respecting LeBron and AD like that. And I thought Mobley played a little more tough after that. I'm gonna get y'all's thoughts on this. That to me is the work in progress. Out of anybody, it seems like Mobley's role is the most different from last year. Allen is still rim running. You still see it with him and Garland. You still see Kevin Love doing his thing. Donovan Mitchell is coming right in there. But it seems like Evan Mobley is the most he's thinking the most.
I think he's the number one on a championship team. I've said that before. That's his ceiling. Like so he's trying to expand his toolbox.
Yeah.
He's trying to expand his game while at the same time adding who is the number one now in a ball dominant role. He's the one guy that I think I don't know if you worry about him, Brad, but I think you want to make sure that he maximizes his potential, and putting Donovan on the floor is the one guy who that may take him longer to get to where he wants to go.
Well, no, here, let's be clear about this, Jason. Mobley should still be in college. You're watching his growth and development and trying to consistently grow his bandwidth in real time against real men doing real things at a position that's real tough. So he's not seeing no featherweights down there. He's seeing real light heavyweight dudes down there in the position he's playing in. So you're going to watch this growth in real time, and it's okay, right? Because you have other guys that can absorb that. Because where it goes sideways is when you're on a team where there is nobody to absorb that bandwidth for you. And so now you're on Front Street, and then the heat gets turned on you in the fire pan every day. So he's got some cover. Now, to your point, he's got to grow because he got to expand his game here. His perimeter game's got to get better.
Yeah.
His ball handling's got to get better. But you're going to learn that. We just don't happen to see it because it should have been going on at USC, right? Okay. Now you're seeing it here in Cleveland downtown in front of the primetime audience every day.
What do you got, Mikey?
So we got a new segment. We're going to try doing this real quick. We're going to run through it in about 7 minutes before we get Reflog on here. But we watched a lot of NFL, and these are things I think. So I'm going to present something I think to you guys.
Okay.
We'll discuss it for a sec, and we'll move on. We got 5 of them. You ready?
Let's go.
First thing I think. The Bills are beatable, but the Jets winning on Sunday does not help the Browns' chances in 2 weeks. We saw them lose a game to the Dolphins earlier, went on a 4-game streak where they just abolished every team that they played. The Browns, on the schedule in 2 weeks. I don't think them losing a game like that helps the Browns' chances in Week 12.
I tend to agree with you. The Jets, it's a divisional game. They see each other twice a year.
Yeah.
Divisional games are just a little bit weird. The Buffalo-Miami game, it was 158 degrees on the field that day. They're dragging dudes off left and right. That was kind of a fluky whatever. The Bills, to me, are still the class of the AFC, and I still think the Browns have. I mean, I said before, don't even get off the bus. Go ahead and get off the bus. The Jets beat them. You can get off the bus, but I don't have high hopes for that game.
It's like it almost makes me feel a little bit better about the Jets' loss, like because I know they're not trash.
The Jets are 6-3.
They 6-3.
It don't matter. That was the worst loss of the year. Worst loss of the year was that Jets game.
Boy, I tell you, I think the Bills are pretty much the class of the AFC. I think it's like Jason said, it's a division game. When you're playing division foes, they play you twice a year. They know your stuff. They know what you're gonna run. You just gotta execute. Thought the Jets played a pretty good game. And we know Josh Allen will give you a couple. That interception he had was a bad one. He'll give you a couple of those. The Browns, I don't think so. I don't think it makes them feel any better.
Brad, the next one's for you, so we're going to move on here because we got to get these 4 in. I think that Justin Fields is that dude. 4 touchdowns yesterday, 180 rushing yards, a new record for a quarterback, threw for 3. As the Bears' offense is starting to come alive. That's your guy.
You better come to me, full face.
You've been preaching.
Full face.
You've been preaching.
Now listen, I've been watching this kid since high school. Y'all gonna stop playing with me, right? This is not Mike Pago, right? Stop playing with me. Put some people around him. You will see what we saw in Columbus. He's a real freaking player, and he playing with people. He was playing with Bradley Chubb and them yesterday. They have nothing for him, right? And the last 3-4 weeks have been just like this because he's figuring it out in real time. And guess what? He's going to be real good. That's why they went and got real Claypool to try to help him. And the people, did you see it? See, I watched the game yesterday. When Claypool came in that game, the stadium, Bears Soldier Field, lit up because they were like, give him somebody just to work with. Just somebody.
Hey, I watched the game, too, because you had him starting at your quarterback.
Yeah, he was on you.
With 1,000 points messing around with me. Hey, he doing his thing, man. He did his thing, man. Randy Jackson voice. He did his thing, man. He'll be all right.
Number 3, the next thing I think Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are broken. If you look at a game log of Aaron Rodgers, you would think those numbers are what we'd see from Jacoby Brissett prior to the season. It took Tom Brady 60 attempts to throw for 280 yards yesterday. I know he threw the game when he touched down late. But you watch these two,
Oof.
I think they're done. I don't think there's any fix in either of them.
Is they washed?
They broke.
I've been about to tweet it for about 2-3 weeks, but I ain't brought myself to it. Or I'm just asking you, my good man, is they washed a little bit?
I mean, the Bucs were my team when we started the year as the team that was going to be the biggest disappointment in the NFC. So I'm not sure Tom Brady's washed.
I don't think Tom Brady washed.
And I'm not sure Aaron Rodgers is washed.
I think Aaron Rodgers is doing it on purpose.
You think he's protesting the? I think it's the amount of talent around both of them. I don't think either are washed.
You see, I'm not flinching when I say that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Aaron Rodgers is just like.
It don't even look like he's there.
It don't look like he even care. I don't care. I got my bag. I'm good. And I'm gonna prove a point to you. But they've been going at it for a while, for years. I'm gonna prove a point to you. But what you see in Tom Brady, is a man in personal turmoil.
Yeah, I think
after you saw the relief off his back last night, after they marched down there and threw that touchdown. Because if you've ever been in personal turmoil, you're not there. You're not locked in. It's hard to lock in.
Oh, trust me. I went through a divorce and I was at work. I was like, look, bro, you know, I'm going to need to use your shower. It's like, Garrett, go home. Garrett, go home. I'm going to just, can't do that.
We got 2 more before we get to reflog. Number 4 of the things I think. The Eagles have a legitimate shot to run the table and finish the season 17-0. The schedule is not that hard.
Yeah.
They play teams that are good at the right times. Yeah. And also, the Eagles are good, man. They go in a lot of different ways.
They are good.
Listen, they got Miles Sanders. He's been running the ball. They got, Brown. He's Brown. A monster. Yeah. A.J. Brown. Jalen Hurts is a dual threat. And they play a physical brand of just they fast on defense. They play hard. They hit hard. They got a shot.
Here's the rest of their schedule. Washington, at Indy, home to Green Bay, Tennessee, at the Giants, at the Bears, at the Cowboys, home to the Saints, home to the Giants. No, I don't think they run the table. It's so hard to do. It's so
Philly does Philly.
There's always a Sunday where you slip and you don't see it coming.
And on top of that, you got to look at it like this: if they are undefeated going into 13th, 14th, now they're looking at if you clinch. Once they clinch, it's all.
Yeah, but they have
downhill.
a young coach and a young team. It's not Peyton Manning back there.
Right.
Sirianni's kind of a psycho in a good way, and I think he's the kind of guy who would want to do that. We got one more though before we get Reflog in here. And I don't want to short him his time, but I think Geno Smith should be the comeback player of the year. Kenneth Walker should be the offensive player of the year, and Pete Carroll should win coach of the year for the ultimate Seahawks trifecta.
I can't hate on Geno Smith. Kenneth Walker, I mean, he's putting up really good numbers. I don't know about Pete Carroll. I'm trying to think if anybody has had a better job than Pete Carroll.
I mean, the Seahawks are in first place. Nothing was expected of them this year. Nothing at all. I don't know about Kenneth Walker as offensive player of the year, but I can't argue with
offensive rookie.
Oh, rookie.
Yeah.
I missed that. Well, that's a little different. I can't argue with Geno Smith or Pete Carroll at this point. Like we got a lot. There was a time when Kyler Murray looked like the MVP of the league last year.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of football left, but right now, I can't argue with two of those three. I'd have to look at the Walker thing
Geno
closer.
Smith has played well. Kenneth Walker, no surprise if you follow. I'm a Big Ten guy. He was doing the same thing at Michigan State. Right now, Pete Carroll, I'm giving nothing to. He gets nothing from me. He's hating on my man from Wisconsin, Russell Wilson. So Pete Carroll gets nothing.
You talking about a dude that's washed?
Nothing.
Your boy from Wisconsin is washed.
Nothing.
He's broken.
Russell Wilson could be on that he's broken list too. They just had a bye week.
He is broken.
Nothing.
Actually, I don't think I think that. I know he's washed. I know he's washed.
Let me tell you something.
What'd y'all think though? Segment work? We'll try it again another time.
Yeah, I like
Get
it.
a little more time.
I like it.
Cool. We rapid fired it, but
we'll run through it. With Bull, he'll disagree on some stuff. But right now, we got to bring in Chris McNeil, aka Reflog18 of Twitter. We don't know his face very often, but here's Chris. We do know him from Twitter as, and I say this with the utmost respect, Cleveland's professional Twitter troll, Cleveland sports professional Twitter troll, and he does a better job than anyone else making memes that make us laugh. What's up, Chris? How you doing, man?
Hey, I appreciate it. How are you guys doing today?
Good, man. We can't.
I see he got his own mixing board over there. I see that.
I'm all set, guys. You're talking about a pro over here. I'm a professional on Twitter, professional.
You got the good equipment too.
There we go. Hey, what a great time to be in Cleveland right now, huh?
No
Cleveland
questions.
sports. You got the Cavs, you got the Guardians, the Browns. We love the Browns, so you got all three. We're kind of rolling right now. So the trolling is kind of on a positive,
Right.
No, rather than the negative, which is much more fun. That's right. Been around long enough to know that this all turns. The worm will eventually come back around.
That's right. That's right.
How did you get into it? Like, everybody when you in the game. I love this one, by the way. The Cavs win 8 in a row. Love it. How did this become your niche market? Like, how was this thing? You was like, you know what? I'm gonna do troll memes on the internet, and I'm gonna be hot for it. When did you come up with that conclusion?
Well, Garrett, I just heard you mention about a divorce, and I kind of went through a divorce myself.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I used to enjoy with my wife, this was years ago, was kind of making witty comments that I thought were, funny. And eventually she found out, she didn't find them very funny anymore, and she divorced me. So I had all this content, and I thought, where else can I go with it? And I started going to Twitter, and it developed a following. And then, of course, that kind of dovetailed into that infamous parade when the Browns went 0-16, and then it blew up from there.
Well, give Brady some cheering up. Cheer him up down there, right? Because, I saw a man last night after threw a touchdown pass. He was like, the world was off his shoulder. I was like, relax.
I'm in time.
I like, oh, my God.
That's tough, man.
That's tough down there. I was like, oh, my God.
When you look at your memes, which is the team that's the easy? Well, the Browns are. By the way, they're 0-16. But what do you have the most fun with? Who do you have the most fun with? And has any player or team jumped in your DM and said,
Oh yeah. So I've had some dialogue with the Cleveland Browns over the years, in particular right around that parade. They weren't huge fans of that 0-16 parade, as you may imagine. So we had some conversations over whether it was appropriate, whether it should happen, whether I'm evil or what I am overall. So yeah, I've had dialogue with all of the teams in some form, but generally I think by this time people kind of get what I do. It's all in good fun. You either laugh or cry with our sports teams. And I choose to laugh more often than cry, which has saved my sanity over the years. And I think that resonates with people. And I think most of the sports teams and most of the people out there kind of get that at this point.
So how did the parade come about?
Yeah, so as you guys know, the Cavs won it all. We had a legitimate parade downtown, over 1 million people down there. And then you had the Indians at that time going to the World Series. So we had some really good vibes. And then the Browns that season. It was like the first game, it was just ugly. And I think I put a tweet out that said sarcastically, this team deserves a parade too. And a buddy of mine, Vince Guerreri, he reached out to me and he said, hey, for $25 in this paperwork, you can actually have a parade in the city of Cleveland. And I thought, what the heck, for $25, I'm going to do it. And so I put it in. Eventually that season, we continued to lose. I was at the Christmas Eve game when we played the Chargers. We ended up winning. I'd raised all kinds of money at that point to have the parade. And what we ended up doing was we donated that to the Cleveland Food Bank. So it ended up being a great story.
Right.
Okay. So I thought that was going to be the end of it, right? Put a nice bow on it. We're done with this, boys. We move on. And we all know what happened the following week or the following season. We went 0-16, ended up actually having the parade. There was a lot of doubt going into it as to whether I could pull it off and everybody could come together and what this was actually going to look like. And I think it ended up being a pretty cathartic thing for everybody who was down there. It was so dang cold. But we had almost 4,000 people that were down there kind of enjoying it. You had other teams that go to the playoffs every year at that point. And then you had us, and we were looking for our party, and that was kind of our party for the day. We also collected cans for the Cleveland Food Bank and made it into a positive on the side. So ended up being a real positive thing. I think I'd like to have a real parade, gentlemen, a parade with a Super Bowl championship rather than just our cathartic parade, our kind of false funeral. But for what it was, I think it turned out fairly well. And now I wish the Browns would really get us to the playoffs and to a Super Bowl.
Well, I was going to say this as you talk about, what do you think, to your point about a real parade?
Yeah.
What do you think this looks like if the Browns ever made it to a Super Bowl? Because I see a parade in two places.
Yeah.
The parade's going to be at the Super Bowl.
Right.
The pre-party, and then the after party, if we win it, here. What's that look like to you?
Brad, I was 7 years old when Bernie Kosar got hit late by Mark Gastineau at that Jets game in Old Municipal. And I was standing on my seat while people were like flocking from the top decks of Old Municipal. And I was yelling at them, the Browns are going to come back. The Browns are going to come back. And we all know what happened, right? Bernie gets hit late, double overtime, the Browns win. I'm 7 years old. That's all I know for the Browns was this kind of excitement. I'll never forget being outside the stadium, listening to everybody. The here we go, Brownies, here we go, the barking, everybody honking, and it was just pure excitement. And that's been gone for so long. Yeah. We had our little playoff run with Pittsburgh and almost beating Kansas City, but that energy in Cleveland is unmatched when the Browns are good. And I would love to get a piece of that once again. And my God, we go to the Super Bowl. I mean, shut down Cleveland for the month before, the month after. I mean, that would be incredible. I mean, the Cavs parade was great.
Right.
The city has not seen anything like if the Browns make it to the Super Bowl. It's a football first town. And I had a taste of it back then. Made me, for better or for worse, a fan for life. And here I sit just waiting still at 43 years old.
Well, I'm in the club with you, so I'm here with you.
How do you? What are your thoughts on the elf? It seemed to be hit or miss with a lot of people. A lot of people don't really. They're like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on the elf?
Well, I like the fact that it's kind of newsworthy in kind of that fun way, so I can have some fun with it. I put a pipe in his mouth and had people actually believe that that they painted an elf with a pipe in its mouth on the 50-yard line at Cleveland Stadium.
I fell for that, Chris, by the way. You got me.
Very good. I always love it. I always love it when you realize that calls are coming from in the house, and you're like, oh no, I got tripped up by him. I changed it up to a Cavs logo, a couple of weeks ago, and the Cavs are really kind of starting to come on as they've continued. So I don't know. Those kind of offbeat things around the teams are really where I have the most fun It's not so much X's and O's, as you guys know. It's not breaking down what these teams do. It's really the fun around it. So to that extent, give me an elf. Give me whatever you want to do. I'm going to have some fun with it.
McNuggets, you got a couple. We get to the top 5 with him?
Yeah, we're going to do top 5 with Chris. It's an awesome top 5. We asked him his 5 best celebrity encounters on Twitter. And whenever, and these are good. These are really, really good. But whenever we ask the internet for a question like that, and Reflog is the internet, it's brought to us by our good friends at PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mentor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. So, Chris, I will introduce the top 5 for you, and then you can give us a little more explanation on this backstory of what happened. You ready?
I'll do my best. Let's go.
All right. Number 5 of Reflog's best internet celebrity encounters was when Jenna Jameson told the Browns to draft Josh Allen, and she was right.
I have to thank your show, actually, because you brought this top of mind to me last week when you were asking me about the top 5 interactions I'd have. I remembered back to the Jenna Jameson back in 2018. Gentlemen, I had my chance to shoot my shot with Jenna Jameson, and I took it. I asked her who she thought the Browns were going to draft at 1 and 4 and who they should draft, and she said Josh Allen. So I give her props for that, for being a good NFL draft analyst, a regular Mel Kiper on that. We could have gotten, Josh Allen at 1 or 4, so she was right on both of those accounts.
Did she give any reason why she likes Josh Allen?
No. She just responded with Josh Allen, so I had no idea outside of that.
Josh Allen, I mean, you could have shot your shot, homie, 2018. I'm just saying.
It worked out for I guess worse for the Browns because Allen turned out to be the right. But Jenna Jameson, an everyday Mel Kiper. I like that. Okay, number 4 was when Ann Coulter believed a picture of the Cavs parade was actually a Trump rally and tweeted about it.
What happened?
I remember
this. Is funny.
Yeah, so this has kind of become almost a cliche for anybody who's hung around Cleveland Twitter, and that is putting out the Cavs 2016 championship parade as insert event here. And in this case, it was a Trump rally. And I got Ann Coulter and a bunch of pundits to post on their website that this was a Trump rally and that the fake media wasn't putting it out there for whatever reason. And in fact, it got so far, it made it into the Mueller report because there was an account, gentlemen, at 10_GOP, which was a Russian bot. And it was discovered by Twitter because it was retweeting and pushing the 2016 Cavs victory parade. So you'll see it every once in a while come up on Twitter ad nauseum. It's a cliche now, but back in the day, it was fantastic. Took down a Russian bot. Believe it or not, made it into
Shout out to
Mueller
Mr.
report.
Bob Mueller. We have not seen him ever again since he produced that report.
Number 3 of Reflog's all-time celebrity encounters on Twitter, your Cavaliers-Warriors bet with Smash Mouth.
Yeah, so this was not a smart bet, as it turns out. 2018 finals, you had the Cavs, you had Golden State, and I made a bet with the band Smash Mouth that if I won, they were gonna send me a bunch of Smash Mouth gear, shirts, that sort of thing, some Smash Mouth swag, and if they won, which they ended up doing, I'd have to change my AV to the Smash Mouth logo for 2 weeks. So I did end up changing my AV for 2 weeks. We got swept, unfortunately. And they definitely got the last laugh because they also sent me a bunch of Smash Mouth swag that went to my kids. And now my kids are huge Smash Mouth fans. So
Got you twice, dog.
that's the ultimate long play on the part of Smash Mouth. Pretty
Got
impressive.
you twice, cuz.
So this was the one, Chris, I couldn't find as much information on. So you're going to have to kind of tell us the backstory in a little more depth. But something between you and Mike Clevenger and how he wanted to hunt you down.
That's exactly right. So Mike Clevenger, back, what was this, 2019, I believe, he wanted to find out who I was. And every once in a while, you'll have players who get kind of upset with something that I'll say or do online, and they'll kind of come after me. Well, Mike Clevenger said, I will give a free pair of signed cleats to anybody who can give me Reflog's government name. And what he didn't realize is that everybody who follows me is more than willing to give me up for a pair of free cleats, including my own mother. My own mother was the first person to respond and say his name is Chris McNeil. He lives in Granville, and she would have given him even more information on top of that if he would have just asked. So I think he was overwhelmed, and he took down the tweet. And my mom, still to this day, whenever she hears about Mike Clevenger, she's like, I never did get those cleats.
She never got those cleats, huh?
Never got them. Never got them.
Bro,
Mike was a little thin-skinned when he was here. That's very true. He was thin-skinned.
Yeah, he did not like me. He did not like me. Of course, there are many of those athletes that pass through that end up not liking me, so I'm kind of used to that.
And number one, and this one is an absolute doozy. That I'm jealous this hasn't happened to me in my life, but Ryan Reynolds. You want to explain this one?
Yeah, how about that for a heavy hitter? Ryan Reynolds. So I like to put out memes, especially when we win, right? When the Browns, you have a win, you feel good. So I put together a meme based on Free Guy, the movie that Ryan Reynolds was in, where he's kind of blissfully unaware, walking down the street, everything's blowing up around him. And I made him wearing all Browns gear, because that's the way we feel, right? On a Victory Monday, no matter what's going on around us, we feel really good and are blissfully unaware of everything, family, everything else. Well, he really liked the meme. But one of the things I edited in there was a bottle of Jack Daniels. And he didn't like that. Not because it was alcohol, but because it wasn't his alcohol. Right. It wasn't Aviation Gin, which he produces. So he then sent me some of his gin, some of the swag for Aviation Gin, and he had me remake the meme. And so now if you see that meme out there, and hopefully we'll see it a few more times this season, it'll have Aviation Gin in the character's hand as he walks down the street and everything's exploding in his brown shirt. So that is my story with Ryan Reynolds, which was fantastic.
That's kind of dope. That's kind of dope.
Free booze is always good, so
that's right.
You can get it.
I need that whole bottle. I need send me a case, bro. Have you ever? You said you're happily divorced. Have you ever?
Yes.
Ever had a date? Have you ever gotten a date from your memes?
Oh, wow. That's a personal question there. And I will tell you this. I have. Yeah.
Good sense of humor. That's what they want, right?
Well, okay.
Was it a quality date, though?
He gonna give us.
I am dating a fabulous woman right now who is actually, and I'm revealing this on your show, a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. But she came and found me on Twitter and thought that I was so funny that she jumped into my DMs. You know, a tale as old as time, right? Jumping into the DMs. So yes, it has happened.
Twitter can make true love.
Yes, it is.
Can we tweet that out, Reflog? Can we put that out there?
I think I'm already in trouble.
You know, we be asking them questions. You can come here and listen. You know what it is, man. Reflog, I had to do it to you, but I appreciate you jumping on with us, man. You got to give us an ultimate. Feel free to give us an ultimate Cleveland Sports Show meme. We're thin-skinned.
Okay.
Bull is. Jay's really sensitive. Do it for those guys. Mike Polk, we'd love to laugh and put it out there too. We'll retweet it.
Absolutely. I'll go to work on that. I'll go back in the lab right after the show here.
I'm terrified. Chris, thank you, man. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks,
Chris, thanks.
Hey, guys, two things real quick before we get to final takes. The Colts have named an interim head coach.
Already?
Jeff Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Former center.
Former center, Ring of Honor. Give me that tag board, Anthony. Oh, you got it. Steve, take it full. There we go. Beautiful little backside. No, We're leaving PCC up, Steve. Come on, you got to trust us here. Leave PCC up. We're about to read the internet comments.
That's wild.
But yes, he is the new interim head coach. I guess he'd been a head coach of DeLuca Christian Academy in DeLuca, Georgia, and now he's coaching an NFL team. And Jason, we have one question from the internet that we wanted to ask you. This Donnie M says, Jason, of our last 6 opponents, who do you think we lose to?
Listen, I'm trying to think who it is. It's Houston, and then there's Cincinnati in there. There's Baltimore in there, right?
Yep.
Like, there could be multiple. I'm telling you right now, that Houston game is not a lock. I know Houston's record is terrible. The emotion involved in that game and the vitriol he's going to feel going back and the rust factor, like, you really going to be shocked if they lose at Houston? I'm not.
I'm not either.
I think there could be multiple losses in there.
I think they actually lose to Cincinnati. I think they lose to Cincinnati at Cincinnati. For some reason, I think they might beat Baltimore, but I got the L to the.
They got Washington in there.
Bills, and Washington's always been a sneaky game for me. They're sneaky. I don't like playing in Washington.
They play every game to the last second. It's absurd how they're not good enough to win and they're not good enough to lose, but they're just good enough to play a 1-point game to the last 43 seconds.
They're just good enough to be Washington. That's what they do.
This Jeff Saturday thing is weird, though. I'm sure it's happened before, but to get somebody off the ESPN panel and drop them in the middle of a season.
That sounds like a thing.
Hold on. You know,
normally, I think Buck Showalter did it actually, but normally it's like
the Colts are the Colts.
But it's normally it's a promotion of.
Yeah, but the Colts are always on some old trash. They always are, right?
Irsay looks like he just was like, "No, give me one of the blue bloods. Give me one of the dudes that we didn't went to war with. Come on in here."
Do you know what that screams to me? That we are going to go out and spend every dollar to get a Sean Payton or someone that we already know who we want our next coach to be. So whoever we elevate to interim head coach has no chance of being
No, because if I was doing that, Mikey, I would not have brought a folk hero like Jeff Saturday.
I agree with Brad.
Into the fold. I would not have done that. I would have just bumped up somebody and then set my sights on somebody else.
Right.
That's not what that screams.
This tells me he's going to be there.
Yeah.
Like, this is his chance to be there for a long time.
He ain't going to be used for 5 weeks.
Right. I don't know what the quarterback market looks like, but
they need a quarterback.
Oh yeah, the problem is
they can't go out and get another old. I mean, they've gone from Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz to Matt Ryan.
And that's what shocked me. And I mentioned this on the show repeatedly. Like, I mean, Baker's had a miserable year. They could have had Baker, and they said, no, we're going to go get busted up, broken down Matt Ryan.
Made no sense.
Baker ain't looked bad yesterday since he brought up Baker. He looked bad.
He looked pretty good.
But Indianapolis had an opportunity to possibly solve their quarterback situation for the next 10 years, and they chose another retread. So I don't know.
Man, but here,
they got to get a quarterback.
Man, it ain't no different than the Colts sneaking out of Baltimore. They're the same old Colts. It's just doing silly things, right?
Man,
I like you bringing a guy like Matt Ryan here. I don't care what you thought about Matt Ryan. He was the least respected in Atlanta. You gonna come in here and snatch him out the lineup in like weeks and then say you done for the season? I'm sure Matt Ryan didn't sign up for that. Right, I would if I was a quarterback. I wouldn't go nowhere near Indianapolis.
Boy, you got to look back. Just go back and rewind the tape when people was talking about RG3 and Andrew Luck. I mean, I still remember the day I came into the studio and they said Andrew Luck retired. I said, shut up. They've been swimming ever since, and the Pittsburgh Steelers gonna figure out. It's you can talk about your stats, your banners, culture. Yeah, you let you have somebody that's garbage behind center or medium. A bunch of Tommy Maddoxes. Y'all will be looking just like us in a heartbeat. People talk about that, man. Boy, I tell you. We're going to final takes.
Yes, sir.
Final takes, man. Who we gonna start with?
Brad's up first.
Am I first?
You're up.
You always start first.
Oh, okay, then let's get to it then. I think I'm gonna go Cavaliers today. First of all, we're not gonna get drunk on the success here. Right? It's early season success, but this has been a long time in coming. The Cavaliers have done a masterful job in putting pieces together, piece by piece, year by year. Even when you thought the moves were silent moves, like why'd you pick up that pick? We're not gonna be able to use that pick, right? You're married to a guy like, why were you gonna let Colin Sexton go? Even though Colin Sexton's having a great year and Laurie Market having a great year,
Yes,
but
he is.
you got a piece that we needed to make the other pieces that you invested in over time better, right? And so we have done a marvelous job of putting ourselves at least in play for at least the next 3 years, and which is a lifetime in the NBA today because things change on a moment's notice here. You got guys locked into contracts for 3 years, and at least in this market, it gives you a chance to be successful. We're going to see what happens here. Because as I look around the league, there are many things that are working in the Cavs' favor. Teams that were supposed to be great are on a downward decline in rapid fashion because when you mortgage the future for the current, there's a bill that comes due and payable at some point in time.
you're watching it in Los Angeles in real time, right? Real time. You're going to start to soon, you're seeing it in Brooklyn, real time. You're going to start to see it in other places around this league, real time. And what happens because your window, Jason, of opportunity is closing as soon as it opens, right? And depending on how well the level of window you bought, whether it was a Marvin window or Integrity, or was it a Pella, or was it some cheap off-brand at Home Depot, is how long it stays open. And the amount of slowness that this declines with. And so as we sit on this, we are sitting here for one thing. Enjoy your ride. I understand that it's not going to continue like this. The odds of that happening are not long in our favor, but we just want to get better. We want to make sure we're in position for a playoff run here. And it's early to be talking playoffs, but at least we can say we started out in good stead.
Something I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks, and we saw it yesterday with LeBron facing the Cavs, and we're going to see more of it with Tom Brady coming to town. Two of the greatest athletes of our generation, arguably two of the greatest to ever play their sports. Are they really going to go out like this? Is this really how LeBron and Tom Brady are going to go out? Now, the Bucs are in first place, but they're 4-5. This is not the Bucs of old. And I wonder if Tom regrets his decision to come back. And I made the case before. Go home, man. Go home and be with your family. Go home and be a dad. Go home and be a husband. Like, you have nothing left to prove. And some of these athletes get conflated into what I am, what I do is who I am. And that's just not the case. And I've enjoyed these last 4 years of getting off the NBA beat and keep being able to do other things and being home with my kids. I missed Christmas 4 years in a row. I missed birthdays, anniversaries. I missed my son's birthday 4 years in a row because he had the audacity to be born in June during the NBA Finals. And just that opportunity to be able to go home and be a dad again has been the most rewarding of my life these last 4 years. And I look at Tom and I wonder, did you make a mistake? Do you regret the decision? Your marriage is in shambles. Now you're getting divorced. You're still going to have the relationship with your kids, obviously, but it's not going to be the same. Everything's changing. And for what? You're still the greatest of all time. Anything that happens this year is not going to stain his legacy. It's cemented. He's the greatest quarterback. He's the greatest player in NFL history. Why did you need to come back? Why? I just don't understand. I know these guys are built different. They're wired different. I get it. I'll never understand being the greatest at anything. But was it worth it? And the broader question of LeBron and Tom, and LeBron could have left. He could have kept chasing rings. He could have come back here and chased more rings. He chose to stay in L.A. He's going to ride it out there. His kids are comfortable there. His wife's comfortable there. I don't begrudge him anything. That's the choice he made, and he seems content with it. We were smiling and laughing yesterday after the game, and he's okay with his lot in life, and he's okay with his placement. What you do is not who you are, and that's something that big legendary athletes seem to struggle with year after year after year after year. And it's a decision that I think Tom Brady's learned the hard way. And I think LeBron is kind of handling it a little better and is kind of understanding his place and all of his understanding his role in life in so many different facets of life. And it's just fascinating to me to watch how these two guys, if they're going out on losing teams, if this is really it and how they're going to end their careers, how do they feel about that?
And G. Bush, before you go, update on Jeff Saturday. First NFL hire to ever not have any coaching experience in the collegiate level or on the NFL level. First one ever.
And Mike, before you jump in, G, I just saw something on Twitter. I don't know if it's true. Check it out. But it says Kyrie Irving has informed the Nets he plans to retire.
I saw that last night. 99% sure that's fake, but I will confirm.
I would love to speculate on that, but we can't because it might not be true.
Right.
So I'll go with something off.
Yeah, that was fake. Just a heads up.
Okay.
Not really.
I'll go with something off kilter. Yeah. I think OG talked about, your window. As soon as it opens, it closes for a lot of teams in the NBA. And, Jason talked about, the window of opportunity for winning championships for, LeBron and Tom Brady, two of the best ever to put on cleats or gym shoes, so to speak. I'm going to talk about a window of opportunity for something that's really near and dear to my heart as well, and that's leftover foods. The window for your leftover foods is different. I went to the, steakhouse the other day, had a nice ribeye, and then I started to think, as soon as I put it in the to-go box, it was never going to be the same. It was not going to be juicy. It was not going to be, crisp on the outside, that caramelized fat. you know, the seasoning that goes over the grilled charred marks, never going to be the same. And then I thought about all the good stuff that big people like to eat. Pizza. Pizza's never the same. You don't get that melt. You don't get that situation in the microwave. You don't really get none of that. Fried chicken, have you ever tried to have fried chicken in the microwave? That KFC golden brown skin, now it's turning into old people's skin. You gotta peel it off. It's gerontology 101. But I need something. I have found something. If you get an air fryer, shout out to the air fryers. The air fryers are what now we know as they're the new version of the George Foreman grill. Air fryers, if you put that chicken back in that bad boy, guess what happens? Crispy. You put that steak back in there, magically, it revitalizes it. Now you got about 3 to 5 minutes to eat the whole thing, because don't get it twisted. It will turn back into a pumpkin coach, and it's not Cinderella. You will be out of here. But I need people to start figuring out what it is that you can't eat later on, and that's why I always do my wife a favor. I eat her leftovers while they're hot.
What a small guy you are.
G. Bush, so kind.
You don't want that. You don't want that, girl.
You don't want that smoke.
You don't want that. Well, listen, we got done. Listen, I've done 2 shows, and I've got done before 1 o'clock, so I'm going to take a win on that in a victory lap. McNuggets, what we got for tomorrow?
We got Jen Matthews on tomorrow for a little trivia.
Okay.
We're going to do our Major League review finally tomorrow as well. Jay's back, so we're going to review the movie. We'll talk some Browns offense versus Dolphins defense and some recap of the Cavs Clippers tonight. And on our overtime segment today, we're talking about Donovan Mitchell exceeding expectations personally for us and how he's become a player we didn't foresee him becoming in Cleveland, especially this early. So stick around for that. There's always the 2 membership tiers, the starters and the coaches. You guys support the show if you like it. We certainly appreciate it. And we will see you on overtime in about 5 minutes.
There we go. So if you hated me today, guess what? You won't have to see my face tomorrow in the lead chair. So with everybody, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. We'll catch you in about 5 minutes on the overtime section. Peace.